Okay, folks, so the next one we're going to do is the angle bisector. So again, we're going to try to cut this angle in half, right, with another ray that provides us two congruent angles. That's what we're looking for. So the first thing you need to do is just start with a random angle. Okay, just draw an angle. And you may want to go ahead and take your protractor and measure the angle so you know, just kind of write it to the side of your paper what the measurement is of your angle before you even get started, right? So the first thing I want to do is to take this angle and give it some labels, right? So I'm going to make this right here angle or point A, okay? And once I've made point A, that gives me somewhere to anchor my compass. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my compass, and I'm going to go over here and put the pointy end on A, okay? And then once I put the pointy end on A, I'm going to open the compass up to whatever length you want, okay? You'll probably notice once we move through these constructions that the actual width of your compass is not as important as keeping it fixed so that you use the same width when you go from one step to the next step, okay? So just pick your width, whatever it's going to be. And then you're going to actually make that arc. So the arc should go through both rays, okay? Okay? Now, once you've made this arc, what you're going to want to do is make points at the intersection of the rays and the arc. And of course, you can call the points whatever makes you happy. Okay? So I'm going to be super original and call it X and Y. Okay? Are we good? Okay, so then the next thing I'm going to do, now pay attention because this is a little bit different than the way we did it before, okay? So the next thing I want you to do is take that compass and move it over here to where you had X and Y, and I want you to fix your compass so that you have one point on Y and one on X. So you're fixing the width. Do you see that? Okay, and once you get that width fixed, go ahead and tighten up your compass, right? Okay, so now that I have that width fixed, I'm going to put my pointy end of my compass on Y. Okay. And then I'm going to make an arc. Okay, and it's going to be just like a baby arc, and I'm just going to kind of make it right about here. Okay, just kind of out in space. Okay, and keeping the same width, I'm going to go over here to X, and I'm going to do the same thing on X, and I want to make it so that they intersect, right? So I'm trying to intersect that arc. Do you see that? So I've made this little X, these two little baby arcs. Now, at this intersection, I'm now going to have another point, and I'm going to call this M again because it's the middle, hopefully. So I'm just going to call it M. And if I've done this correctly, I can extend a ray from A to M, and it will bisect that angle. Okay? Now, don't get discouraged if you have to do it a couple of times before it works perfectly, because most of us need to do things a few times before we get it perfect, right? Okay. Now, how would I measure? How would I make sure? Yeah, so then you're going to use your protractor, okay, to measure. And what I'm trying to make sure is that angle XAM, do you see that? Is congruent to what? MAY. And of course, you guys could have written that in either order. But that's what I'm trying to make sure. Now, if you've done this correctly, they will be exact, dead on. But it might take you one or two tries before you get it exactly right. Okay? And that's how you construct an angle bisector.